Today, we lost one of the most beloved characters of all time, Kwon from the hit YouTube Red series Cobra Kai. A man who once captured the hearts of billions across the globe. So today, in honor of Quan, I'll be analyzing the character based on his motive, personality, best scenes, and more. To give him a score 1 out of 10, let's do it. When we first meet Quan, he's the abrasive loudmouth of the latest batch of Cobra Kai students, always falling behind star pupil of Sensei Kim Yoon. It's pretty easy to see that Quan has tons of potential, but his personality and that erratic nature, it's holding him back. It's really, stopping him from truly unlocking his potential. But leave it to the show's psychotic nut job to freaking be a weirdo and get that potential out of him. Quan quickly rises to the top of his class and earns a easy captain nomination for the Sekai Tekai, which is like the Super Bowl of Karate Kids tournaments, or just the Super Bowl in general, honestly, at this point. From there, we don't really know that much about Quan and what he actually wants in this tournament, outside of, I'm assuming, winning it, and even then, we don't know why he wants to win it. Every student in Miyagi-Do has this clear vision of why they want to win this tournament, but we don't really get that with Quan. Maybe because he's more of a side villain, but we never get a full fleshed out motive or anything, and that's a bummer. Let's be honest with ourselves. He's really here to bring another S-tier fighter into the tournament. He's here because Kreese has a new dojo and he needs to have some big scary champion to go up against our main characters and stir some drama. Which is weird because they ended up abandoning Quan as the final boss of the show for Axel. So in the grand scheme of the whole story, Quan is a little lost, a weapon without a purpose. I get that on one hand they needed some new villains for the show because almost everyone is on Team Miyagi-Do at this point, but it sucks he was used as a tool rather than an actual character they seemed interested in developing. It's a big bummer the show loses him too, because before it was like, what's gonna happen in this final four for the dudes? Now it's kind of turned into, gee, I wonder who's gonna beat Axel, Miguel or Robbie?
Don't worry, I leave your bags in the hall.
Cobra Kai Season 1 started off pretty grounded, focusing mainly on this incredibly strong relationship between Johnny and Miguel and their complex relationship with the LaRussos. Now, Cobra Kai is kind of a cartoon soap opera that I can still enjoy 100%, but it's different. Keeping that in mind, Quan is the perfect character for a cartoon stage Cobra Kai in terms of how his personality fits into the show. He's a little bit over the top and everything, but in some ways, it fits him better than almost every other character in the show. Take our main characters, right? They were introduced when this show was a lot more grounded, so when you throw them into a cartoon, it seems a little off. When you throw a toon into Toontown though, it just feels right. Rattle off some villainous qualities. Go ahead. Selfish, egotistical, rude, self-absorbed, whatever you want to say. Quan has that. Not only does he have it, but he's maxed out all of those stats. He seems to be such a pain in everyone's side his entire time in the show. But then answer me this question. Why is he so much fun? As I said earlier, he has that Muppet in a Muppet world kind of thing going for him, which makes this incredible screen presence. But also, I think a lot of it boils down to the performance here. Quan is played by Brandon H. Lee, who brings this insane confidence and swag to the guy. You can't help but be drawn in. Every face he makes, every word he says is going to bring some new emotion into play, whether it's from him or whoever he's messing with. This show is far from perfect, and as silly as it can be, I'm not joking when I say, genuinely, this performance is fun, and the choices Brandon Lee makes for this guy are the best ones he could have made for this character. In the second half of the season, when he's interacting with all the other characters, that's some of the most fun I've had with this show in a long time.
How you say, lovers quarrel?
I'm not a fan of Kreese as a character, so whenever Quan's just harassing him or his sensei daughter Kim in those Korean segments, it's great. If it weren't for Quan, those scenes would be an even bigger chore to get through. We all know it, let's be honest. The fight with him taking the best boy badge from the other kid, it's a pretty solid fight. But like I said in part 2, when he shows up to torment the Miyagi-Do gang, fantastic. All the insults he throws at them, they make me laugh. I think it's funny. It's like I'm one of those Cobra Kai lackeys just giggling, smiling, and nodding behind him. You can take really any quote from this guy, and each one is a banger. Everything he does is just so mean, just, so over the top, and it's great. Huge props to the show for not trying to get us to feel bad for him. A perfect example of a villain who's just bad without a real reason to be like that. The show is oftentimes kind of a roll of the dice when it comes to scene quality, but genuinely, it's always fun when the boy Quan's there. It also helps that he's pretty intimidating in the grand scheme of the show. Brandon H. Lee is a pretty gifted martial artist, and it allows him to pull off some pretty crazy moves that are like 100% legit impressive. It actually makes the fights feel intense and realistic for the standard that's expected of the Sekai Tekai fighters. Something that we can't say for the whole main cast, unfortunately. We gotta talk about the guy's death though. Pretty sad. Kind of crazy that the show actually kills someone. Because you know that meme of like, it's just kids karate, but it does add another layer to the stakes of the show. If anything, it's a bold move, one of the boldest moves the show has ever made. It's crazy that it leads to this, but in the ever-growing karate soap opera of this show, it's different, and we can take a look at it at the end of the day and acknowledge that Quan will have gotten one of the more memorable send-offs endings in the show's run. Every other villain is probably just gonna lose. Oh man, you lost. Time to hit the bricks or go to jail. And if they do end up killing, a Kreese or a Terry Silver or someone like that, Kwon did it first. Just saying, you can't take that away from him. Quan is a really fun character who matches the show's energy maybe better than anyone, but at the end of the day, I still wouldn't call him a phenomenal villain, only because he's never even given a strong chance. He's replaced as the final kids villain by the end by Axel. Still love his scenes though, the performance is great, and the show's better with him around. I'm gonna give Quan a 6.
Then we give them no mercy, Sensei.
Good.
Thanks so much for watching. New villain reviews coming soon. I'm going to upload a poll this week, so make sure you vote on that. Talk to you later. Bye.